1, 2, 3.
It's not fair.
It's not my...
Hey guys, before we get started here, I just wanted to add this little bit in here. I forgot to mention in this one about the passing of Peter Mayhew, who played Chewbacca. Really important guy for all of us who love Star Wars, and we're going to miss you. And also, this will make sense later as you listen to this podcast, but A New Hope actually came out in 77, not 73, and I'm an idiot. All right, enjoy. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of I Bought a Microphone. Stylized as IBAM. Hashtag IBAM. Whatever. I didn't need what. Just. This is a long time coming on this show. I've talked about a lot of the things that I'm obsessed with and things that I'm a fan of. I've gone through a lot of topics, but I haven't really talked about probably the thing that I'm the second most obsessed with. As a nerd, we've got levels. And number one up there is the Marvel Universe. Comic books, movies, TV shows, whatever. That is what I'm interested in. And the fucking Marvel Cinematic Universe has been a really amazing thing that's been unraveling over the past couple of years. And, I really enjoy it. I just saw Endgame recently, and we'll have a conversation about that later. I can't really do that now. I don't think that's fair to anybody who hasn't seen it. And, if you have seen it, you've already got your own opinions. You don't need me to tell you. So I'm going to give that one a minute, but I will settle down and I will have a really long conversation with you about Endgame at one point. But I'm going to talk to you now about something, again, that's very near and dear to me, and that's Star Wars. Now, I've had a long and complicated history with Star Wars, I gotta tell you. Like, when I tell you that I don't remember a time before Star Wars, I mean that literally. Like, I couldn't tell you the first time I saw a Star Wars movie. When my memory starts around 3 or 4, wherever that is, I already knew what Star Wars was familiar with it, and loved it. You understand that? So, what I'm saying is, there is no point in my existence where Star Wars has not been there. I was born in 82, which was a year before Return of the Jedi was released. And we had copies of the movies that were recorded from Showtime. Back in the day, you could record movies from the TV with tapes called VHSs. We had copies of the movies recorded from the TV. We watched the hell out of those movies because Star Wars was amazing. Nobody doubted that. As I got older, obsessed with Star Wars as I always was, we found flaws. It's not perfect. Oh, George Lucas is a genius. Well, yeah, George Lucas only directed the first one. And yeah, maybe he had a part in the story layout of the next two movies, but he was actually mainly executive producing those movies. He was not writing or directing them. The screenplay and the directing were done by different people. And those movies, especially Empire Strikes Back, were amazing. Fast forward to the 90s. I, as a little tyke, always obsessed with Star Wars. Still a big fan of it. Been analyzing the Force my entire life. You know, maybe a video game comes out. I wasn't a computer nerd back then, so I didn't get a chance to play any of the like the Dark Forces or the Jedi Outcast or any of that stuff. Like, I didn't get any of that in that time period because I was limited to the technology that my parents were willing to pay for, which was not going to handle a video game of that caliber. And that's where really if you don't count the Dark Horse comics mythology, that spread out, that's really where the Star Wars mythology takes off and goes on its own like self-contained trip. Like, all of the Dark Horse, stuff like relies on the movies, and it comes from Leia, and so there's a whole other plot line that we're not going to discuss the Dark Horse stuff. I'm just saying, like, the computer gaming world actually had its own self-contained story, separate from the Dark Horse stuff that actually could have been folded into any other version of the Star Wars universe that happened to come about. See, now I was back in the day, I was a casual nerd, casual geek, I guess you could say. Like, I didn't obsess over things, and I didn't like. So, like, I love Star Wars, but I didn't love Star Wars enough that, like, the 3 movies that existed weren't enough. I didn't love Star Wars so much that I needed to reach out and get into this expanded universe, this, Tales of the Bounty Hunter, this fucking, all this whole other world out there that people were creating in literature and comic books and stuff. I didn't need any of that. I didn't care. I loved Star Wars for what it was. It was these 3 almost perfect but not perfect movies that created this whole other world and some pretty good video games, and we moved on from that. And then we're in the 90s, and George Lucas is like, okay, so we're gonna remake the old movies. And I'm fairly young at this point, but I never saw Star Wars in the movie theater, so I think this is a pretty fantastic idea. Obviously, the special edition versions of the first 3 movies are not perfect. I mean, some of the things that they do are fantastic. Some of the things they add are completely unnecessary. The whole scene with fucking Jabba the Hutt in episode 4, A New Hope, which is, as it's now called, used to be called Star Wars. Anyway, the whole thing is, it's problematic, and I remember it's it's the only movie I've ever fallen asleep during, is the re-release of Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. I watched Empire Strikes Back, the re-release, in the theater by myself. Literally, that's what happened. Nobody else wanted to watch it with me. So I watched it myself. So the Return of the Jedi, when that was re-released, I was really big into the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which can be an episode in and of itself. But important to note, the people that I watched the Rocky Horror Picture Show with, that whole group of people that ran that, event, one night replaced it with Return of the Jedi. And being that we could, run it in the same way, as you would with the Rocky Horror Picture Show, with people shouting out at the screen and, having a whole good time with the ridiculousness that movie is. Never! And, all of that. And it was a good time. And, that put a cap on that chapter. It was... They didn't fuck up too much with... they changed a lot in the first one. They kind of toned it back in the second one. I think that it was all... Nothing was egregious in the second one that I can remember. The stuff that they, redid. And in the third one, same thing, pretty much. They added the whole sequence where everyone's like, shooting off the fireworks in different parts of the galaxy. And no, you see, but they destroyed the Death Star and they killed the Emperor. Those are the two things that they needed to do to defeat the Empire. Let us not ignore the fact that there's all the Empire ships out there and we still control all of these systems, but they destroyed the Death Star and they killed the Emperor, so it's basically all over and nothing to worry about from now on. Moving on. And I will not talk a lot right now about the prequels, except to say that I don't hate them. There's a lot of people out there that give them a lot of hatred and derision and, have a lot of problems with them. And I will say that I love George Lucas for creating Star Wars, and I think he is a great storyteller. I don't know that he is the best filmmaker or director in the world. I think that perhaps his talent lies in creating the things that other people tell stories about. That's what I would say. So George Lucas's vision that was the prequels was flawed and not perfect. There's a lot of fucking good stuff in there, though. And I will say, without reservation, that Revenge of the Sith is a fantastic movie. See, I'm not going to talk about that right now, though, because that's not what this is about. So that's end my understanding of Star Wars on Revenge of the Sith. We move on from there. And that's it. That's all we got from Star Wars. George Lucas is pretty much quiet on the subject. Maybe there's some cartoons. Clone Wars cartoons, pretty solid. I didn't see it when it came out, but I watched it later. Really enjoyed it. There's a Rebels cartoon that comes out. That's one's also pretty solid, but not really, it doesn't directly affect the whole Star Wars universe. Nothing changing there. George Lucas sells everything, for $4 billion to Disney. Disney now controls my childhood. You gotta understand this. Fucking, they got it all. Marvel Universe, Star Wars, they got it all. I got nowhere else to go. And I pray that it's in good hands. I got no control anymore. They have it all. They have everything. And, you know, I gotta say, not the biggest fan of J.J. Abrams. I mean, I'd seen what he did with Star Trek and was not a huge fan of that. And again, that's a conversation for another day. But didn't like the revamp of Star Trek. And now he's getting control of Star Wars. Like, why does J.J. Abrams get to rewrite my childhood? Why does he get this power? Because I'm going to tell you, I'm Star Wars fan. As much as a Star Wars fan I am also that big of a Star Trek fan. Now, to be clear, I've only seen a couple episodes of the original series. But I happen to be growing up in the revitalization of the Star Trek franchise. So I saw The Next Generation. I saw Deep Space Nine. I saw Voyager. I saw Enterprise. I saw all of it. Some of it's good. Some of it's not great. I can tell you that Deep Space Nine is probably the greatest version of Star Trek ever created. And I realize the irony of that because they trek pretty much nowhere, being that it's set on a space station. Still, it's amazing. But again, I digress. Jesus, I have been taken on a very strange journey trying to tell you about what I'm trying to tell you about today. So, 3 prequel movies come out. Couple of Star Trek movies rebooted. Then we get the announcement. There's going to be a new Star Wars movie done by J.J. Abrams. I wasn't super excited about it because, again, not the biggest J.J. Abrams fan in the world. However, I'd seen some stuff that he did that I liked. Super 8 being one of them. So I was like, okay, we got a chance here to do something. And I gotta tell you, when I saw The Force Awakens, I was excited. I was really excited. And when I left the theater, I was not nearly as excited as I was when I went in. It was kind of meh. Now, that being said, I judged that movie too harshly. I realize that. I have come to love The Force Awakens for what it is. Force Awakens is the Star Wars movie that J.J. Abrams wanted to see when the prequels came out. Me, as a person who didn't hate the prequels, was like, suck a dick, this is A New Hope. We're just making A New Hope again. It's just a bigger Death Star. It's not the size of a moon now, it's the size of a planet. Whatever. This is a big joke. That's how I felt initially. Once I got past that, bullshit, and actually appreciated the movie, it's actually pretty good. And then we had Rogue One right after that, like a year later. And I gotta tell you, Rogue One is probably one of my favorite Star Wars movies ever. I might like it more than Empire Strikes Back. I mean, it's hard to say where my feelings are. I especially like that it's not, there's no fucking Skywalkers in the movie at all. It's an entirely self-contained Star Wars story. And yeah, Grand Moff Tarkin shows up, and yeah, there's a fucking Death Star in it and whatnot, but still it's not beholden to the entire Star Wars mythos. It can be whatever it wants to be. And I mean, yeah, and again, just like every other Star Wars movie, it's got its flaws. Like, they become really attached to this girl that they just met really quickly. Like, from meeting her to flying to another planet to calling her sister, like, is the space of a day and a half. Like, I mean, but Rogue One is awesome. And you get to see, and there's no fucking magic in it either. It's just ground forces, just guerrilla fucking fighting, sending out those fucking plans, finding the weakness in the Death Star. Ugh. Oh my god. And it's all good performances too. Like, there's no bad actors in that movie. Rogue One is still probably my first or second favorite Star Wars movie. And it's not even part of the original trilogy. Like, Rogue One, Star Wars movie, fantastic. That's as good as you can get. And then we had The Last Jedi. And The Last Jedi is divisive. I understand that. A lot of people really angry about that movie. There were some scenes where the rebellion, they're not the rebellion now, what are they called? The resistance. Where the resistance fleet was running away and they were getting shot. And like, oh, we're getting shot. We can't do this forever. Oh, but we're just outside of their range. Oh, but we can't do this forever. Like, I think there were a little too many of those scenes, honestly. Like, and then they go to the gambling planet with Benicio del Toro, and they pick him up and they bring him back. Like, I mean, obviously that all works out in the end, which is great. And, there's that great scene where Princess Leia pulls herself in from space and all sorts of crazy shit. Like, and the dice from the dashboard, well, not dashboard, I guess it would be, assuming the Millennium Falcon had a rear view mirror, which makes absolutely no sense. This is where those dice would be hanging from. The Luke Skywalker faces off with the fleet, the ground forces that they brought down to this weird salt mine planet. I mean, I understand why people were upset with facets of that movie, but I have been the most apologetic Star Wars fan ever. I don't hate the prequel movies. I fucking Qui-Gon Jinn is my favorite Jedi ever. I fucking love Phantom Menace just for that alone, among other things. I mean, I think the Clone Wars is a fantastic movie if you skip the scenes that take place on Naboo between Amidala and fucking Hayden Christensen. You just fucking skip those scenes and you focus on what Ewan McGregor's doing, and it's actually a pretty decent movie as far as I'm concerned. And like I said, Revenge of the Sith, really good. I got no complaints about that movie at all. I mean, there are some ridiculous performances in it, and I think if you watch Natalie Portman in literally any other movie that's not a Star Wars movies, you will see that she is a fantastic actress. She just happened to be in a Star Wars movie. She knew what type of movie she was in, and she was not going to work very hard. And that's fine. I got no problem with that. Her death was not the most interesting part of that movie anyway. I have the high ground. That's obviously where that movie hits its fucking... Ugh. Anyway. So Star Wars fans. You're talking to a person who doesn't know a world without Star Wars. I'm saying this to you. I don't remember a time before Star Wars. There has always been Star Wars in my life. And if there is one consistent thing about Star Wars that has been the case since I've been, let's say 13, it's been shitty Star Wars fans. I do not understand why so many people put their effort into something that they supposedly love, and all they do is spend their time tearing it down. I cannot fathom why you would say that you love something, and then all you have to say about it over, I don't know, whatever period of time your random YouTube video or podcast happens to exist, you say nothing but negative things about it. I fucking love Star Wars. For its flaws and its perfections. It's never been perfect from the very first movie. If you watch A New Hope, it's not a perfect film. If there is a perfect film in the original trilogy, it is Empire Strikes Back, and that was not done by George Lucas. So if you have a gripe with anything, it's that George Lucas chose to make any of the movies at all. And why would you... I can't. All right. I'm running it back. Because this is my problem. Because I love Star Wars. I fucking love it. And I'm surrounded by people who say they love Star Wars and fucking do nothing but complain about it. I can't fucking do that anymore. So it's time for people to say unequivocally that they're done with Star Wars. If you fucking didn't like anything that happened before right now with Star Wars, if any of it has bothered you, that's fine. Just be done with it. I'm so sick of your nitpicky fucking bullshit. And I am saying this right now because I didn't like Solo. I'm saying that right now. In front of everybody. After I said all of that other shit, I did not enjoy Solo. I thought it was the worst version of fan service that a movie could possibly be. It was boring. And the parts of it that were interesting rewrote parts of the history that people who were invested in the franchise over the last 30 fucking years were basically insulted because of it. And I mean, I'm not usually the type of nerd that's like, that gets angry for not being rewarded for my nerdity. But the fucking Kessel Run had already been explained, and they chose a completely different explanation for it. The reason that Chewbacca owned a life debt to Han Solo had also already been explained. And rather than rewarding people who had been with the franchise from the very beginning, for all its ups and downs, and, didn't nitpick every fucking thing and chose to, like all of this ancillary stuff that people were adding on. Like, we wanted that. We supported that. Rather than supporting those people, the people who had been with the Star Wars franchise the whole time. Yeah, no, let's just create an entirely different fucking justification for the Kessel Run, which again was unnecessary. And let's also, I don't know, have a completely different justification for Chewbacca being there. Which was completely unnecessary, because every other fucking thing in that movie, they added. So if those two things had been kept the same, then that's fan service like fucking Force Awakens. And you can change everything else like fucking The Last Jedi. But instead, they made this completely uninteresting turn. I honestly, I struggle to remember anything about that movie except the fucking ridiculous Han shooting first sequence, which who fucking gives a shit? Like, that's the fucking takeaway? That's what for the last 30 years, everything that we've had to say about Han Solo, that's the one thing that you choose to focus on? Nothing else? The fact that he was an Imperial soldier and that he chose after seeing the horrors that were being brought upon the fucking Wookiees, he chose to do something about it. No, why would he have any redeeming characteristics? It was from that act of heroism, that's what made him a criminal. That's why he's a redeemable character in the first place. And you take all of that and you just fucking throw it in the gutter. I don't understand it. I mean, I love Star Wars. I do. I really do. And I've liked every single Star Wars movie ever made, except for Solo. I'm not crazy about it. I think it's again, like I said, I think it's the worst version of fan service that could possibly exist. And also, at the same time, it completely neglects those of us Like, Force Awakens, at least, for all the fan service in that movie, and that movie was basically from minute one to the end fan service. At least it respected people that were fans of the movie from the beginning to the end. Like, we were fans of the franchise all the way through. Solo has no interest in respecting those people. Solo's like, oh, no, see, like, you people who like Star Wars before, you gotta, like, get with the new Star Wars. Where you like Star Wars now. Whether or not you thought Star Wars was cool, this is what Star Wars is. You fucking ride this train. And, you know, I never thought I would ever say it, because when I watched Rogue One, I was highly, I mean, like, you're talking about a movie that's got nothing to do with the main Star Wars plot. We're doing our own side Star Wars stories. Well, that sounds interesting. I'm hesitant, but I'm curious, and it turned out to be fantastic. To be honest, when somebody said we were going to go back and do Solo's origin story, I was like, why? If there's an origin story that needs to be told, it's not Solo's, but, I mean, I guess, again, as fan service, since he seems to be such a fan favorite, I guess I could see the justification for that. But the reason to change facets of his history that were already set, like, we're not talking about a character that was introduced in the last two Star Wars movies. Han Solo has been around for... When was the first movie out? 73? What year is it? 2019? What is that? 46 years? And you're just going to decide to rewrite his history right now? Retell it for people who haven't seen it before? Absolutely. I understand that. Put it on big screen, because nobody's ever seen that. There's been a big fucking bulk of us that have been along the Star Wars ride this whole time, and yeah, they're just spitting in our faces. And I guess that's how a lot of the Last of the Jedi people feel, I suppose. Just spat in the face, like, of all the things that we once loved. I mean, and again, you're telling a new story with The Last Jedi, so I can't fault you on any of the decisions that you made. But when you're fucking talking about Han Solo, you're talking about a guy who's been around for a long fucking time. And there's a lot of people who are invested in that. And where he ends up, Force Awakens, where he dies. But where was he before that? Where did he start? How did he get the Millennium Falcon? You're just gonna fucking change all of that? Just because, you know, what? I want to make my own movie. I don't give a fuck. These fucking nerds like. I'm sorry. It's, if you had chosen to make a movie about a character, you know what? Like Chewbacca. Instead of Solo, you make Chewbacca. This is a character who none of us understand. His voice, all of his thoughts, literally They're imperceptible to us because he's a completely different species. That, I think, would be a pretty fucking fascinating movie. And I think it probably, would merit a sequel. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that Solo, a Star Wars story, is the least profitable movie in the Star Wars franchise. And it's not just because it's a really derivative story that's not very interesting to begin with. I mean, you take away everything that was interesting about Han Solo from his past. You erase that stuff that's already been established, which you could have just retold and is actually pretty interesting. But no, instead you just erase all of that and rather than try to explain away the part that you erased, you just fast forward through that part of his life. Oh, he was maybe a pilot, maybe not. He flunked out. I don't know. It's bad writing. I'm sorry. And Han Solo, there's a reason that he is such a beloved character. He deserved more than that. I'm becoming a bitchy Star Wars fan at this point, and I've spent a lot of my life not being that. Again, I've always had my problems with Star Wars. I always have. It's not perfect. It never has been, and it's fine. It's not supposed to be. What was created was completely unique. It's a fucking fantasy world set in space. Like, you've got wizards, and you've got, warriors, and you've got dragons, and you've got all sorts of mythical beasts and stuff. But they're in space, and they're flying around, and they're shooting lasers and shit. Like, show me anything that's gotten close to being nearly as interesting as that. Any fantasy genre set in space. What else is there? Yeah, I mean, Doctor Strange, he goes on those weird psychedelic journeys, but we can hate Star Wars for all of its flaws. We can do that. To this day, I do not understand why we do that. But, I mean, that's something we can do. We can choose to remember only the things that we like about something, and we can hate every fucking thing else about it. Or we can like something when it comes out, and maybe when it comes out it doesn't fit into exactly what we want it to be, but rather than talk about every minuscule little fucking teeny tiny thing that happened that we didn't like, we can talk about what we like about it. And this is me doing that right now. I like Emilia Clarke. I think she's a fantastic actress. And I love watching what she do. Even in this movie. And the guy who played the bad guy, I apologize I didn't do research for this, but he plays the Vision. He plays Vision in the Avengers movies. I liked him a lot too. I like Woody Harrelson. I see no reason for him to be in this movie. As much as I like Donald Glover, I did not like him as Lando Calrissian. So, I mean, I'm sorry, Donald. You are an amazing actor / creator. You did Atlanta. You were in Community. You were part of 30 Rock. I will respect you until the end of time. but I did not like you in this movie. So, I mean, I guess I'm guilty of it. I'm now a shitty Star Wars fan just like everybody else. It took what? 6, 8, 9, 10 movies. It took 10 movies for me to finally complain and not like a Star Wars movie. And now I'm just like all of you. But I think if you listen to the heart of what I was saying, the substance is that I will always love what Star Wars is. The world that Star Wars created could be an entire 7-season TV show with live action and fucking lasers and lightsabers and all of that. There's a whole world to explore in Star Wars that has nothing to do with the main plot that we're so fucking tied into. We don't need to make movies about fucking Han Solo. Rogue One proved that. So please stop hating Star Wars for its flaws and continue to love Star Wars for what's amazing about it. And please forgive this guy for not being able to live up to his high ideals. I love you guys. And I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for coming out.
Congratulations. You are being rescued. Please do not resist.